Hello, this is my video on how I stuff my dog's food toys. I prep multiple at a time, and I'm just making this so that everybody who sees my posts about like filling food toys, that kind of thing, knows what I do, and then you can change it up and switch it up as needed for your own dog. So first things first, not the best camera work ever, but we'll make do. I'm a dog trainer, not a camera person. So my dogs, when I do this, I use Westpaw Topples. Can you see the brand on there? No, you can't. Westpaw, there you go. WestpawDesigns.com. These are kind of like Kong toys in that you can stuff them with stuff and freeze them, but they are much easier to stuff because they are wider. And also a lot of dogs, especially if you have a dog that has a history of not liking Kong toys, a lot of dogs will take to these more than Kong toys because they are easier for them. A lot of dogs get frustrated by Kong toys that are stuffed too tightly and frozen too much. And so they're like, nah, I don't really want that. So these are kind of a nice alternative, but you can stuff, like this is another Westpaw toy. This is called a Quizzle. You can stick like something down there and then use the stuffing that I'm going to talk about today to stuff the rest of it. You can, so this is, when I say a Kong toy, this is the classic Kong. It's rubber. You can freeze it. It's hardy, but this is one that sometimes frustrates dogs. And then there's all kinds of other things on the market. Like this has 4 little pockets that you can stuff. This is a little frog that you can put stuff inside of. And then this is like a bark box stuffable toy. You can use any of these. The reason I use the Topples is because they hold the amount of food for my dog's meals, and also because my dogs tend to like them more than Kongs. So again, lots of varieties. You know, do what you would like to do. But here's what I do. So this is what I do. Usually a couple times a month. I try to do once a week, but sometimes time gets away from me. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to take their kibble. So this is Regis and Phoebe's kibble, 4, 5, 6. I'm stuffing 6 Topples, so I just need 6 helpings of their dry food. Ow. And I just put the dry food away because the cat was getting interested. And then I take, this is a Ninja mini food processor. I bought this specifically for the dogs because last year I started putting tripe in squeeze tubes and it's disgusting, and I didn't want tripe in our normal human stuff. So if you don't mind, you can do whatever you would like to do. But this is just a mini food processor, and I processed a can of wet dog food. And this is the wet dog food that I use. It's just from, it's their pate, but literally use whatever you like, whatever you've had success with. If your dog has a stomach of steel, you can look at what's on sale. And then I mix that with half of a can of Libby's. Well, it doesn't have to be Libby's. Off-brand works too. 100% pure pumpkin. So this is not pumpkin pie mix. This is not pumpkin pie mix. This is just 100% pumpkin. Okay. So half a can of that with a can of wet dog food gets me a full thing of a mixture, like a smooth mixture that's easier to stuff with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wet dog food and I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of that to my bowl full of dry kibble. So I'm going to take this wet dog food. I eyeball this. I'll also add in that, I add the pumpkin in because Regis is a senior and a beagle. So he's always hungry and yet needs to lose weight. So this is kind of our workaround where it's like, okay, you can get wet dog food, but I'm going to thin it out with something that's less calories than your wet dog food. And that's going to be this water, hi Puffos, or the pumpkin mixed with the wet dog food. So I'm just looking for the right consistency here. I just splashed on my shirt. Oh no. All right, I'm back. There was a little break in time because I added too much water to my kibble and I had to let it soak in. So here we are now, 10 minutes later. The kibble has soaked in some of the water. I also wanted to add, if your dog has a sensitive tummy or you need to watch calories, this is another thing that you can consider adding. The Honest Kitchen has a couple different additives. This is dehydrated bone broth, so it looks like that. You can buy liquid bone broth too at any like major pet supplier at this point. But if you can't add like wet food, but bone broth is safe for your dog, I do like this as well. I think a lot of dogs tend to like it. All right, so we're gonna fill our topples. So what we're gonna do is take just a couple scoops and add them right in there. So I'm putting it right in the top of the topple so that we've got that. There is a little hole on the side, so you want to make sure that your liquid is not, or your food is not so liquidy that it's going to ooze out the side. It has to be kind of a thick, slurry consistency. Or you can stuff this. I will sometimes do peanut butter just over the hole to plug it. So we're just filling, and I'm doing 6 topples at a time. If you are going to do this for your adolescent or young dog that you really need to kind of keep busy and have them using their brain and exhausting themselves, I do recommend, this is not in a good spot, is it? I do recommend buying multiple toys so that you can kind of prep several at a time. So this is 6 topples, and what that's going to turn into is 3 meals for each of my dogs. So I'll talk about that at the end. So I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna finish filling up this one so that I don't make this 100 minutes long. So we've got, it's fully toppled, or it's fully topped off. It's not oozing out the side because it's a thick enough consistency. If it was, I would put peanut butter over this. And then what I like to do is a couple of different things. One of the things I'll do, and this is just to increase some, novelty in my dog's life and give him something else to do, I might take like a sprinkle of the crummies at the bottom of a bag of dehydrated liver treats, and I'll sprinkle it over the top. So that just adds a little something. And then the last thing that I do is, these are Honest Kitchen Ocean Chews. They stink real bad. If you are averse to the smell of fish, you might have to find something different. And these are sweet potato fries. The brand is Sam's Yams, but I'm not necessarily married to this brand. This is just what the local store carries. And what I will do is I will take my completed topple and I will stick some kind of chewy type item down the middle of that topple. So I'm taking this, got it in my hand, it's a fish skin, pushing it right down the middle. Oh no, you've betrayed me. You've betrayed me. That does not usually happen. I added way too much water to this batch. These holes. Gross. Adding in the fish skin caused a little bit of overflow. So I'm going to add some peanut butter there. It's a disaster. Just a tablespoon or so that we're stopping the overflow. Okay, there we go. All right, crisis averted. So we've got peanut butter now, and then we've got the fish skin, and then we've got, I promise this normally goes faster, but me narrating and having to think about what I do is slowing me down a little bit. And then I've got these yam chews, sweet potato chews, I'm going to add those two. And that way, my dogs have, I'm just going to do one because I'm kind of tempting fate at this point. My dogs are going to get this. I'm going to put this in the freezer. It's going to freeze fully. My dogs are going to get this for their dinner. And when they eat this, they are going to get 2 different types of chewy. So we're meeting 2 different chewing needs. And then they are also going to have to pull the chewy out of the frozen topple, which is kind of, think about like what a domestic dog would do if they were out hunting and caught a rabbit. We kind of want to give them a dissection experience, which I know is not fun to think of. It's not fun for me to think of either. I'm vegan. And then in the topple, they're going to have to empty that out as it freezes. So generally speaking, one of these lasts, in the beginning, it lasted a half hour easily. They've gotten really good at them now, so they last at least 20 minutes. But the goal is, instead of giving my dog a bunch of free food in their bowl, I'm going to give them this fully frozen. It's going to occupy their brain. It's going to give them something to do. It's going to tire them out a little bit so that when I get home from my group classes tonight at 9 p.m., Phoebe especially is not as pushy as she would be if she had not had this need met. Okay, so remember the steps. Quick rundown. We start with kibble and wet food. Put it in a bowl. Mix it together. Take that kibble and that wet food. Oh, now I got peanut butter in my screen. Not on my screen, but just kind of a little too much in there. Mix that together. Let it soak in. And then we put the kibble in the topple. Once the topple is full, we put the chewies in there, and then this is going to go in the freezer. It's going to freeze solid. Let it freeze for at least like 3 or 4 hours if you want it to freeze solid. If you don't care about it freezing completely solid, then you don't have to worry about that. Okay. These tend not to be that messy as long as your dog eats it right away. So I have not really had a huge issue with like the dog food getting all over the place because it's kind of like a little self-contained bowl. So you should not have that issue. All right. I'm going to post this. Sorry it was so long. Post any questions you have in the comments section, and I will go through if you want any kind of recommended brands, anything like that. All right? All right, awesome. Bye.